So, common question. Which one's most important in terms of body transformation and changing your body composition? Is it the training or is it the diet? I'm going to talk about 4 people who I trained over a 2-year period who all trained exactly the same way but ate very, very differently. And from that, hopefully you have some perspective as to how diet and training go into really making a difference in how you look. Stay tuned. So today we're going to answer a question that's very common, which is what's most important for body transformation? Is it your diet or is it your training? Now, most people try to answer that question with the science behind it and will tell you all about things like calories and energy expenditures. I'm not going to do that. What I'm going to talk about is my experience. See, for the past 30 years, I've been helping hundreds of men and women transform their bodies. Everyone from housewives to celebrities to competitive bodybuilders. And I've had the privilege of gaining so much data and so much visual observations of what happens when people make different decisions in terms of their dietary adherence. And I'd like to share some of that with you in the form of 4 clients that I worked with. Now, before I go any further, I'd like to thank every single person for tuning in, and do be sure to like and subscribe because we're going to have a lot of new content coming in, and I want to make sure you're first to get it. Also, your likes do boost our channel and do a lot in terms of helping our channel grow. So please take your time and give us a little bit of a like. So on to the tale of 4 clients. So I'll start with client number 1. Client number 1 came to me and he had a very stressful job. Client number 1 didn't have any interest whatsoever in dietary adherence. All he wanted to do was work out and work out hard. He had a stressful job, a stressful life, and he saw the gym as something that he could use to help deal with his stress. So he trained with me for about a 2-year period and was a completely perfect model of attendance. He never missed a workout. He gave every workout everything he had. And over the course of those 2 years, he was able to make some significant gains in terms of his overall strength. He started off as someone who hadn't really had any experience in weight training and ended as someone who was able to confidently squat about 315 pounds and bench press 200 pounds. Pretty impressive from someone starting off where he started off. He was in his late 20s, just like all the other clients who I'm going to mention as I go ahead. And he had a body fat percentage starting off somewhere around between 25 and 22%, give or take. Now, after a 2-year period, his body fat percentage didn't really change. He not only didn't follow any dietary protocol, but he also ate a significant amount of junk food. And one of the problems with not following any particular dietary protocols can sometimes be that because you're training so hard, if you're giving in to eating junk foods, you're going to be more likely sometimes to overconsume and eat more than you should. And so while he was quite satisfied with his strength gains and quite satisfied with the stress reduction that he got from the training, as far as body composition is concerned, in terms of body fat loss, there really wasn't that much to him. Maybe he went from 24 to maybe 21%, 22% body fat, but it was really not something too noticeable. What was noticeable is how much muscle mass he put on. That was noticeable. But in terms of body fat reduction, not really that much. So we then go to client number 2. Now, client number 2 had the opposite problem to client number 1, in that his job made it such that it was almost impossible for him to be at the gym regularly. It was really hard for him to be able to find time to work out. And over a 2-year period, I'd probably see him once a week and then not see him at all for a couple of weeks, and once a week again, maybe twice a week max, and then he's off. His work schedule and travel schedule made it impossible for him to be able to really commit to being regularly at the gym 3 times a week the way client number 1 was. However, because he wasn't able to train regularly, he was able to figure out that it was of the utmost importance that he did his best in terms of his diet. And he did really, really well. He was 100% on with his diet. Now, all of my clients get a personalized dietary guide that I make to make sure they get the most out of their workouts and really help them achieve their goals. And he would always check in with me, even if I didn't see him at the gym, to make sure he was spot on in terms of how he was eating. Now, over a 2-year period, he went from being someone who was about 24 to 22% body fat, somewhere around, to about 15% body fat, which is pretty decent. He looked really good. You could see more or less a 6-pack. You could see some lines in his body. He looked pretty fit. I think that's the word we probably use. He looked really fit. However, he was nowhere near as strong as client number 1. He was bigger than he was to start. He was significantly bigger than he was to start, in terms of anyone could tell that he was working out and was lifting weights. That was fairly obvious from his physique. But in terms of muscle mass compared to client number 1, there was no competition, nor was any competition in terms of what his strength levels were. And then we go to the case of client number 3. Now, client number 3 wanted to be a competitive natural bodybuilder. When he came to me, that was his goal. And we had this 2-year plan to try to get him to compete in a 2-year period. Now, he never missed a workout. And not only did he never miss a workout, he was also 100% on with his diet the same way client number 2 was. Really meticulous. After the period of 2 years, he had made tremendous increases in his strength. He was bench pressing in the 200-pound range easily. He was squatting in the 315-pound range easily. And in terms of body fat percentage, he was able to go to just under 10% body fat. Quite an achievement for someone starting off at about 23-24% body fat. Quite an achievement. And if we look at his example, we can clearly see how much of a difference dietary adherence makes. It's a huge difference. And what I'm going to throw in to create even a little bit more perspective for you is client number 4. Client number 4, same fitness level, same age, was meticulous with his workouts. And as far as his diet was concerned, he was really good with his diet, but I'd probably say adherence was maybe 80%. On a good day, maybe even 85%, maybe even 90% sometimes, because he really was good with his diet. And he was logging what he was eating, and I was looking at the logs, and they were pretty good logs. And I was also able to verify that he really was eating the way he was eating. And from what I saw in terms of his strengths progressions, and in terms also of his gains, I can verify that he pretty much was eating really, really well, but not perfectly so. So the question there is, how much of a difference in terms of body composition changes were there with him, client number 4, with client number 3, who did everything right? It was quite significant. Client number 4 was able to get to a body fat percentage that was perhaps a little less than that of client number 2. He probably was somewhere around 12% body fat, which was really, really good. Don't get me wrong. Really, 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 really good. But he wanted that sub 10% look. He wanted that, chiseled, tight, every line showing type body. And he was frustrated that he didn't have that look. And client number 3 and client number 4 trained at the same time, and they knew each other. And client number 4 would always ask why it was, since he ate so well, that he didn't have the same results as client number 3, who was able to get even leaner. And even though we're talking about a difference of maybe 3%, because client number 3 was probably around like 9% body fat, maybe 8%, but probably close to the 9. It's a significant difference. It's night and day. It's really night and day. One is a matter of having, visible abs, in the right light and really nice lines. And the other is chiseled to the point where you look like a statue all the time, no matter what you do. It's a big difference. And that was the difference that occurred between the two. And as far as client number 4 was concerned, his idea was, well, if he kept on doing what he did, eventually he'd get there. But because he never really ate 100%, he wasn't able to get that particular look. But again, he did look pretty good. And I think that these examples should be really useful to you in terms of helping you understand exactly what you need to do and what you need to prioritize for your own particular goals. And understand as well that being regular in the gym is important because you need to build that muscle mass. If you don't have the muscle mass, you have nothing really to chisel. You can't build a sculpture without having enough rock. But at the same time, diet is extremely important. Now, I hope this video helped give you some perspective. It's always an honor to have you. And thank you so much for tuning in. And I hope that what I share here helps you on your path. Thanks again, and Excelsior.